Hello, and welcome to Part 1 of Little Women, an audio play presented by Far From the Tree Productions. I'm Shelby Wyminga. I'm the artistic director of Far From the Tree, and I had the absolute honor of playing Jo March. We would like to acknowledge that Little Women was originally written in 1868 and 1869 on the stolen land of the Algonquin Nation, specifically the Nipmuc tribe in Musketaquid, known today as Concord, Massachusetts. This play was created and recorded on colonized lands spanning the globe. These lands include the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam First Nations, whose land is now called Vancouver, British Columbia. The Blackfoot peoples, including the Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani First Nations, whose land is now called Calgary, Alberta. And the Darug, Kuringa, and Darawal peoples, whose land is now called New South Wales, Australia. Lastly, we would like to thank all the incredible artists whose generous and dedicated work made this production possible. We hope you enjoy the show.
All young girls must grow up eventually. Although we hope to remain young as long as we can, this inevitably will catch up with us one day or another. And what we end up with is a collection of memories. Good and bad, filled with love and loss, joy and sadness, friendship and heartache. My girls experienced nothing less and began their journey in a small but welcoming house with a crackling fire, plain furniture, and the smell of Christmas roses.
Ugh, Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents.
It is so dreadful to be poor.
I don't think it's fair for some girls to have plenty of pretty things and other girls nothing at all.
We've got father and mother and each other.
We haven't got father, and shall not have him for a long time.
You know, Mother proposed not having any presents this Christmas because it's going to be a hard winter for everyone. She thinks we ought not to spend money for pleasure when our men are suffering so in the army. We can make our little sacrifices and ought to do it gladly. But I'm afraid I don't.
I don't think the little we should spend would do any good. I'm dying to go and fight with Papa, but I can only stay at home and knit like a poky old woman. I can't get over my disappointment in not being a boy.
At least you don't have to go to school with impertinent girls who laugh at your dresses and label your father if he isn't rich and insult you when your nose isn't nice.
If you mean libel, I'd say so, and not talk about labels as if Papa was a pickle bottle.
I know what I mean, and you needn't be so satirical about it. It's proper to use good words and improve your vocabulary.
Don't peck at one another. You girls don't remember what it was like to have money when Jo and I were little. How happy we could be if we had no worries.
You said the other day you thought you were a deal happier than the King children, for they were fighting and fretting all the time in spite of their money.
Well, I think we are. For though we do have to work, we make fun for ourselves and have a capital time.
Must you use such slang terms?
It's so boyish.
That's why I do it.
Well, I detest rude, unladylike girls.
And I hate affected niminy-piminy chicks.
Meg! You are old enough to leave off boyish tricks and to behave better, Josephine. Remember, you are a young lady.
I'm not. I hate to think I've got to grow up and be Miss March and look all prim and proper. It's bad enough to be a girl anyways when I like boys' games and work and manners.
Well, I suppose you must try to be contented with making your name boyish and playing brother to us girls.
Oh, well, since I am the man of the house while Papa is away, I say there is much to do about the play for Christmas night.
Oh, I don't mean to act anymore after this time. I'm getting too old for such things.
You won't. You won't stop as long as you can trail around in the white gown with your hair down and wear gold paper jewelry. You're the best actress we've got. Amy, come here and do the fainting scene. You're as stiff as a poker in that one.
I can't help it. I never saw anyone faint, and I don't choose to make myself black and blue tumbling flat as you do. If I can go down easily, I will. If not, I shall fall into a chair and be graceful.
Do it this way. Clasp your hands so, and stagger across the room crying frantically, "Oh, Rodrigo, save me! Save me!" Ah! Oh, it's no use. Just do the best you can when the time comes, and if the audience laughs, don't blame me.
I don't see how you can write and act such splendid things, Joe. You're a regular Shakespeare.
Not quite. I do think The Witch's Curse and operatic tragedy is rather nice, but I'd like to try Macbeth. I've always wanted to do the killing part. Is this a dagger which I see before me?
No, it's Mother's toasting fork.
I'm so glad to find you so merry, my girls.
Oh, we missed you.
Well, dearies, how have you got on today? There was so much to do getting the boxes ready to go tomorrow that I didn't come home to dinner. Come and kiss me.
Oh, we're just rehearsing for the Christmas play, which will be splendid, if Amy ever learns her part correctly.
Well, I have a special treat for you tonight.
A letter?
A letter! Come and sit down and read it to us.
Patience, Joe, I've yet to take my coat off.
I think it was so splendid of Father to go as a chaplain when he was too old to be drafted.
I wish I could go as a drummer, Vivian, what's its name? Or a nurse, so I could be near and help him.
It must be very disagreeable to sleep in a tent and drink out of a tin mug.
When will he come home, Marmee?
Not for many months. He will stay and do his work faithfully as long as he can, and we won't ask him back a minute sooner than he can be spared. Now come and hear the letter. Give them all my dear love and a kiss. Tell them I think of them by day, pray for them by night, and find
my best comfort in their affection at all times. I know they will remember what I said to them, that they will be loving children to you, will do their duty faithfully, fight their bosom enemies bravely, and conquer themselves so beautifully that when I come back to them, I may be fonder and prouder than ever of my little women.
Joe was the first awake in the gray dawn of Christmas morning. No stockings were hung at the fireplace. Soon the other girls awoke, and they raced downstairs to wish their mother a Merry Christmas. However, she could not be found. The girls went about their morning, helping to prepare their Christmas breakfast, until they heard the door open.
Merry Christmas, Marmee!
Merry Christmas, Marmee!
Merry Christmas, little daughters.
We'd set the table and prepared our breakfast for when you arrived.
Doesn't everything look so elegant?
Oh, I'm absolutely starving.
I am glad of the hard work you've done, but I have something to ask of you all. Not far away from here lives a poor woman with a little newborn baby. Her 6 children are huddled into one bed to keep from freezing. There's nothing to eat over there. My girls, will you give them your breakfast as a Christmas present?
I'm so glad you came before we all began.
May I go and help carry the things to the poor little children?
I shall take the cream and the muffins.
I thought you'd do it. You shall all go and help me, and when we come back, we will have bread and milk for breakfast and make it up at dinner time.
I'm just going to get my
Beth,
boots
have
on.
you seen my
The
pink
big
shawl?
basket, you'll have to put more in there.
Careful, it might be hot.
Oh, go up and get the big quilt. We were soon ready, and the procession set out. We found ourselves in a poor, bare, miserable room with broken windows, no fire, ragged bedclothes, a sick mother, wailing baby, and a group of pale, hungry children cuddled under one old quilt.
Oh, my God. It is good angels come to us.
Funny angels in hoods and mittens.
Das ist gut. Die Angelkinder.
Here, where should I put the dishes? Is it over here?
Pass me this.
Amy, stop doing that. Amy, help
When
me.
the Hummels had eaten all they could, we returned home to have our humble breakfast. But when we walked inside, to our surprise, we found a magnificent feast with every treat we could wish for.
Is it fairies?
It's Santa Claus.
Aunt March had a good fit and sent it.
I believe Mr. Lawrence sent it.
From next door? What in the world put such a thing into his head? We don't know him.
Someone in the house must have seen you taking your breakfast to the Hummels. He knew my father years ago, and hoped I would allow him to express his friendly feeling toward my children by sending them a few trifles in honor of the day.
That boy put it into his head. I know he did. He's a capital fellow.
You seem so refined.
Our cat ran away once, and he brought her back, and we talked over the fence, and we're getting along capitally. I mean to know him someday, for he needs fun. I'm sure he does.
I have no objection to your knowing him if a proper opportunity comes.
Well, I say, 3 cheers for Mr. Lawrence and his grandson. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
The morning charities took so much time that the rest of the day was devoted to preparations for the evening festivities. My girls put their wits to work and made whatever they needed. Very clever were their productions. Antique lamps made of old-fashioned butter boats covered with silver paper, gorgeous robes of old cotton glittering with tin spangles from a pickle factory. No gentlemen were admitted, so Jo played male parts to her heart's content.
I'm just gonna get
On
my
Christmas
boots on.
night, at least a dozen girls piled onto pillows on the floor to enjoy the thrilling tragedy of The Witch's Curse.
What ho, minion, I need thee. You must make a potion to make the beautiful Zara fall in love with me.
Hither, hither from thy home, airy sprite, I bid thee come. Ow! Joe! Born of roses, fed on dew, charms and potions canst thou brew? Bring me here with elven speed the fragrant philter which I need. Make it sweet and swift and strong. Spirit, answer now my song. Hither I come from my airy home, afar in the silver moon. Take the magic spell and use it well, or its power will vanish soon. I wish I had a silk that I could wear to the gardeners tonight. Mother says I may when I'm 18, perhaps, but 2 years is an everlasting time to wait.
I'm sure our poplins look like silk, and they're nice enough for us. Yours is as good as new.
Why do only Meg and Joe get to go to the dance? It isn't fair.
Because only we were invited.
I'm sure you get to go to lots of parties when you are older, Amy.
Joe, your dress has a burn in the back. You can't wear that.
It will have to do. You know it's all I've got.
I suppose the front is all right. You must sit still and keep your back out of sight. I shall have a new ribbon for my hair, and Marmee will lend me her little pearl pin, and my new slippers are lovely, and my gloves will do, though they aren't as nice as I'd like.
Mine are spoiled with lemonade, so I shall go without.
Oh, you must have gloves, or I won't go. Gloves are more important than anything else. You can't dance without them.
You said I must stay still. I don't care much for company dancing. It's no fun to go sailing round. I like to fly about and cut capers.
Oh, can't you make them do?
I can hold them crumpled up in my hand so no one will know how stained they are. No, we can each wear one good one and carry a bad one.
Your hands are bigger than mine, and you will stretch it out terribly.
Then I'll go without.
Fine, you may have it. Only don't stain it. Now will you please help me with my hair? I want a few curls just around my face.
I can't wait till I'm old enough to dress up and go to dances.
Oh, soon you will be, Amy, and you will be the finest young lady there.
Ought it smoke like that?
It's just the dampness drying.
What a strange smell. It smells like burned feathers.
There. And now I'll take off the papers and you'll see a little cloud of ringlets.
Joe, what have you done? My hair! Oh, my hair! I can't go like this.
You shouldn't have asked me to do it. I always spoil everything.
It will be fine, Meg. Just frizzle it and tie your ribbon to the end like this. It will look like the latest fashion.
Oh, I wish I'd let my hair alone.
It will grow out soon
I'm
again.
sorry, Meg. It was an accident.
After various lesser mishaps, Meg was finished at last, and by the united exertions of the family, Jo's hair was done and her dress on. Meg's high-heeled slippers were very tight and hurt her, and Jo's 19 hairpins all seemed stuck straight into her head. But dear me, let us be elegant or die.
Try to behave nicely, Jo. Don't put your hands behind you or stare or say Christopher Columbus, will you?
I know I'll forget. If you see me doing anything wrong, just remind me by a wink.
No, winking isn't ladylike. I'll lift my eyebrows if anything is wrong and nod if you're all right. Now, hold your shoulders straight and take short steps, and don't shake hands if you aren't introduced to anyone.
Down they went, feeling a trifle timid, for they seldom went to parties. And as informal as this little gathering was, it was an event to them. Meg was asked to dance at once, leaving Jo alone. She could not roam about and amuse herself, for her burned dress would show, so she stared at people rather forlornly. Soon she saw a big red-headed youth approaching her corner, and fearing he meant to engage her, she slipped into a curtained recess, intending to enjoy herself in peace. Unfortunately, another bashful person had chosen the same refuge.
Oh!
Hello?
I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was here. I will leave you.
Don't mind me. Stay, if you like.
Shan't I disturb you?
Not a bit. I only came here because I don't know many people, and I felt rather strange at first.
So did I. I think I've had the pleasure of seeing you before. You live near us, don't you?
Next door.
We did have such a good time over your nice Christmas present.
Grandpa sent it.
But you put it into his head, didn't you now?
How is your cat, Miss March?
Nicely, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. But I'm not Miss March. I'm only Jo.
And I am not Mr. Lawrence. I'm only Laurie.
Laurie Lawrence. What an odd name.
My first name is Theodore, but I don't like it, for the fellows called me Dora, so I made them say Laurie instead.
Oh, I hate my name too. It's so sentimental. I wish everyone would call me Jo instead of Josephine. How come I haven't seen you until recently?
I've been abroad for a good many years.
Abroad? Oh, tell me about it. I love dearly to hear people describe their travels. Did you go to
We
Paris?
spent last winter there.
Oh, how I wish I could have been there. Can you speak French?
Quel nom c'est jeune demoiselle en les pantoufles jolies?
Oh, nicely, you do it. Let me see. You said, who is the young lady in the pretty slippers, didn't you?
Oui, mademoiselle.
It's my sister, Margaret. And you knew it was. Do you think she's pretty?
Yes. She dances like a lady.
I suppose you're going to go to college soon. I've seen you pegging away at your books.
Not for a year or two. I won't go before 17 anyways.
Oh, how I wish I could go to college.
I don't. Nothing but studying and examinations.
What would you like?
To live in Germany and to enjoy myself in my own way.
That's a splendid polka. Do you dance?
If you will come too.
Oh, I can't. For I told Meg I wouldn't because...
Because what?
You won't tell?
Never.
Well, I have a bad trick of standing before the fire, and so I burn frocks. And I scorched this one, and Meg told me to keep still so no one would see it. You may laugh at it if you want to. It is funny, I know.
Never mind that. I'll tell you how we can manage. There's a long hall out there, and we can dance grandly and no one will see us. Please come.
All right, Laurie.
Jo, I've sprained my ankle. That stupid high heel turned. It aches so and I can hardly stand.
I knew you'd hurt your feet with those silly shoes. I will call a carriage to take us home.
I can't have a carriage. It will cost so much, and I doubt there will be one available.
Take my carriage.
It's so early. You can't mean to go yet.
I always go early. I do, truly.
No, that's too much.
Please, let me take you home. It's on my way.
It's settled then.
As soon as they arrived home, Meg was shuffled inside and plopped on a chair to have her ankle looked after. The two youngest March girls were eager to hear all about the thrilling events of the evening.
Help Meg onto a chair.
Are you back so soon?
Meg, do tell us about
I
the
need a
party.
chair to sit
Who did you
down
dance
in.
with?
My dear, what happened?
Oh, it was these silly shoes. But Laurie really
to your
saved the day.
You must be the young Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, Mrs. March.
Oh, please, call me Marmee.
Thank you, Laurie. I don't know how we would have gotten home without you.
It was the least I could do.
I hope you won't stay shut up in that big house anymore. You can come and visit us.
Yes, you are always welcome. Though my girls might be a bit too much for you. Do you think you can handle them?
I have a feeling we are going to find out. Have a good night.
Good night, Laurie.
Thank
Farewell,
you.
Mr.
Thank
Lawrence.
you. Oh,
Thank you for
goodness, what an
bringing me
evening.
Tell me what happened.
Isn't he such a...
The holidays were soon over, and the girls were back to their everyday duties. Meg worked as a governess for a family with 3 small children, the Kings. Amy went back to school, while Beth accomplished her studies at home. And although Jo despised it, she went back to work as a companion for Aunt March. Aunt March had a fantastic collection of novels, which Jo adored, but she was required to read aloud the most boring books, while Aunt March herself...
By the self-determining power, therefore, must be meant, if indeed it has any meaning, either the actual exertion of volition or the mental energy which precedes volition, and which is the efficient cause of it. If it means the actual exertion of volition, then the assertors of this power evidently confound the cause with the effect, making the act of volition prior to itself, distinct from itself, and the cause of itself. Aunt March?
It was during these times that Jo allowed herself to indulge by reading silently a novel of her choosing, and it was always full of adventure and thrilling characters.
I vow, my dear sir, returned he, I am amazed at all this, nor can I understand what it means. I hope you don't think your daughter's late excursion with me had anything criminal in it. Go, cried I. Thou art a wretch, a poor, pitiful wretch, and every way a liar. But your meanness secures you from my anger. Yes, sir, I am descended from a family that would not have borne this, and so, thou vile thing, to gratify a momentary passion, thou hast made one poor creature wretched for life, and polluted a family that had nothing but honor for their portion.
Jo!
Yes, Aunt March?
Why did you stop reading Belsham?
Well, you had fallen asleep.
Don't be silly. I just lost myself for a moment.
Yes, Aunt March.
Who is this that you are reading?
Oliver Goldsmith?
Why would you fill your head with such nonsense? Men don't like girls who read such things.
I'm only 15, Aunt March.
If I was caught acting like you do at that age, I would be cast out of good society.
Well, I suppose it is lucky that I have no good society to be cast out of, then.
What an impertinent thing to say. You must learn to hold your tongue, my dear. How your mother expects you to find a husband when she lets you say things like that is beyond me.
Perhaps I don't intend to be married.
And what do you intend to do?
I will be a writer.
Well, don't expect any help from me when you run out of money from living as a pauper with a pen.
That's okay. I don't like favors. I'd rather do everything by myself and be perfectly independent.
Tell me, Josephine, how is your French?
I don't know a word. I can't bear studying French.
Poor young women should learn to be agreeable. You never know how that kindness may be repaid. Continue, please.
But if it means the mental energy preceding and producing volition,
No, I might as well hear what frivolous work you do prefer to the worthy instruction of Belgium.
We can marry her off to another in a short time, and what is more, she may keep her lover beside. For I protest I shall ever continue to have a... Perhaps I should stop, Aunt.
I don't understand what this is all about. Go back to the beginning, child.
When Aunt March had heard enough of Joe's book, Jo walked home to regale her sisters with the tale of Aunt March and Oliver Goldsmith. As she passed the large house next to hers, she saw a small face peeping through the window. So she did the only logical thing she could.
How do you do?
Well, thank you. Though I've had a bad cold and been shut up for a week.
I'm sorry. What do you do to amuse yourself?
Nothing. It's as dull as tombs up here.
Hasn't anyone come to see you?
I don't know anyone.
You know us. I'll talk all day if you only set me going. Beth says I never know when to stop.
Is Beth the rosy one who stays at home a good deal and sometimes goes out with a little basket?
Yes, that's Beth.
And the pretty one is Meg, and the curly-haired one is Amy, I believe.
How did you find that out?
Why, you see, I can often hear you calling to one another, and when I'm alone up here, I can't help but look over at your house. You always seem to be having such good times.
I wish you'd come over and visit us. We'd have a jolly time.
Perhaps will you and your sisters come for tea tomorrow, if you are not too afraid?
I'm not afraid of anything.
I don't believe you are.
Tomorrow it is, then.
The next day, the March girls went to the Lawrences' splendid house for tea, just as promised. As they approached the grand house, each felt rather uncomfortable entering such a palace, knowing their own wealth, especially little Beth, who, to no avail, did her best to hide her fear. Soon they passed a room with a beautiful grand piano inside. This caught Beth's eyes, and she soon found herself separated from the others and sitting down at the piano to play.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This is the drawing room.
Theodore Lawrence. There are so many books. You ought to be the happiest boy in the world.
Oh, a fellow can't live on books alone.
Look at all these paintings. How fun.
Girls, there's no need to gawk.
Ladies, please meet my tutor, Mr. John Brooke.
It is very nice to meet you.
Tutor, do you like your work?
Lori, come over here.
Very much
There are
so.
so many books you must never
I'm
get
the
bored.
governess, and
What
although
are
I
you
don't
doing right
always
now?
enjoy it, I get a good deal of satisfaction out of it.
Oh,
I only wish I liked teaching as you do.
I think you would if you had Laurie for a pupil.
All the beautiful colors in it.
Perhaps. What will you do when he goes off to college?
I will enlist. As a soldier. I am needed.
I should think every young man would want to go, though it is hard for their mothers and sisters who stay home.
I have neither, and very few friends who would care.
Rory and his grandfather would care a great deal, and we should all be very sorry to have any harm happen to you.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Is this a portrait of your grandfather, Teddy?
Yes, it is.
I'm sure now that I shouldn't be afraid of him. He isn't as handsome as my grandfather, but I like him.
Thank you, Mrs. March.
Oh! Hello.
So, you're not afraid of me, hey?
Not much, sir.
And you don't think me as handsome as your grandfather?
Not quite, sir.
Your grandfather was a fine man, my dear. But what's better, he was a brave and honest one. I was proud to be his friend. I dare say you've got a bit of his spirit.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I shall let you get on with your tea.
And with that, Mr. Lawrence left them, but not without noticing the rosy little face hiding behind Jo. Beth didn't dare go to the Lawrences' house after that, but remained at the Marches, dreaming about that piano, until one day... Mr. Lawrence, what a pleasant surprise. Please come in.
Thank you, Mrs. March.
Is there something I can do for you?
No, my dear, I simply wish to know if any of your girls were fond of music. You see, the boy neglects his music now, and our piano suffers for it. I thought perhaps some of your girls might like to run over and practice on it now and then, just to keep it in tune.
That is very kind.
They needn't see or speak to anyone, but run in at any time, for I am shut up in my study at the other end of the house, and Laurie is out a great deal. Please, tell the young ladies what I say, and if they don't care to come, why, never mind.
Oh, sir, they do care. Very, very much.
Are you the musical girl?
I'm Beth, and I love it dearly. I'll come if you are quite sure nobody will hear me and be disturbed.
Not a soul, my dear. Come and drum away as much as you would like, and I shall be obliged to you.
How kind you are, sir.
I had a little girl once. You remind me of her. Good day, madam.
After that, Beth's little brown hood slipped through the hedge nearly every day, and the great drawing room was haunted by the tuneful spirit that came and went unseen. She never knew, but Mr. Lawrence often opened his study door to hear the old-fashioned airs he liked. For the rest of the spring, the March girls continued about their days, and in the evenings they would share stories with one another while sewing or sketching by the fire.
I'm going to embroider Mr. Lawrence a pair of slippers to thank him for his kindness.
I had a strange time with Aunt March today.
At the King's, I found everybody in a flurry, and one of the children said that her oldest brother had done something dreadful.
Susie Perkins drew a picture of Mr. Davis with a monstrous nose and a hump. We were all laughing over it when all of a sudden his eye was on us.
And more often than not, the Lawrence boy would be found right there with them.
Hello, girls.
Hello.
Hello, Laurie.
Teddy!
May I come in, or shall I be a bother?
You may, but you must do something. It's against the rules to be idle.
If I could do anything, I would settle in Germany and have as much music as I choose and be a famous musician and never bother with money or business.
I should like a lovely house, full of all sorts of luxurious things, and have plenty of servants so I never need to work a bit.
I would write out of a magic inkstand that would make my works as famous as Laurie's music, and I would do something heroic and wonderful that won't be forgotten after I'm dead. I don't know what, but I'm on the watch for it, and I mean to astonish you all someday.
I wish to stay home with Father and Mother and help take care of the family.
I want to go to Rome and paint fine pictures and be the best artist in the whole world.
I suppose I must go to college to satisfy my grandfather.
I advise you to sail away on one of your ships and never come home till you have tried your own way.
You should do what your grandfather wishes. Do your duty and you will be rewarded, as Mr. Brooke has by being respected and loved.
What do you know of Mr. Brooke?
As her sisters continued about their busy lives, little Beth continued to visit and bring food to the Hummels. After one such outing, she returned home to find a surprise waiting for her. Standing in the March's house was a little cabinet piano with a letter lying on the glossy lid.
Oh, Beth, he sent you a...
For me?
Yes, all for you. Isn't it splendid of him? Here's the letter. We didn't open it, but we are all dying to know what he says.
Oh, you read it. I can't.
Miss March, I have had many
pairs of slippers in my life, but I never had any that suited me so well as yours. Heartsease is my favorite flower, and these will always remind me of the gentle giver. I like to pay my debts, so I know you will allow an old gentleman to send you something which once belonged to the little granddaughter he lost.
With hearty thanks and best wishes, I remain your grateful friend and humble servant, James Lawrence. Oh, this is an honor to be proud of, I'm sure.
You'll have to thank him.
Yes, I mean to. I guess I'll go now before I get frightened thinking about it.
Oh, I didn't mean now.
Beth rushed off to the Lawrences, and when the door opened, without a second thought, Beth embraced and astonished Mr. Lawrence. That night, music filled the March house as Beth played her precious gift.
Thank you for listening to Part 1 of Little Women. Tune in next Saturday for Part 2. For more information on Far From the Tree Productions or to leave a donation, you can visit our website at www.farfromthetreeproductions.com. Subscribe to our newsletter for updates on future projects, or you can follow us on Instagram at Far From the Tree Productions. We'll see you soon!